Hey everybody, Jeff, your executive gardener. Hope you're having a great end of summer here. This episode's about seed starting. Summer of 2016 this year was a disaster here in Houston, Texas. To date, we have almost 55 inches of rain, and it's only August. So pretty much every gardener in South Texas has been washed out this year. So we're really excited about our fall gardens. And in Houston, at least, Zone 8B, it will stay until mid-December. It'll stay 70 degrees, 75 degrees. And we can grow peppers, tomatoes, all that type of stuff. It's beautiful to garden that time of year. So I get a lot of questions through my YouTube page about how do I start seeds. I have a lot of people like me that live very busy lifestyles and travel every week, and they want to know, what do I do to keep up the convenience and how I start my seeds from my plants from seeds versus going to the store. And I'll show you how I do it. Now, it's not for everybody. It's a little bit more expensive because of the convenience and the need to keep seedlings going. If you're away for 2 or 3 days, you need something that's self-watering, but it works for me. So hope some people that are busy, this works for you. I'll give you a quick update on exactly what I do, what I'm growing for the fall here, and hope to have a great year. The number one reason I'll tell you before I get behind the camera and show you, I'll switch cameras and give you a close-up of what I'm starting from seeds. The reason I start from seeds, and I've said this on another episode, is that I don't want to be boring, because if you go to any garden center here in Houston, Lowe's, Home Depot, Houston garden centers, for example, in peppers, you can get the famous orange bell pepper, red bell pepper, green bell pepper, but none of the peppers that I tell you about, and the really great peppers. And there's just tens of different sweet peppers that I love out there, and variety is the spice of life. So, and they're just not going to sell these varieties. So I don't want to be boring and just get what they sell in big box stores. Same with tomatoes. In tomatoes, you can get your Big Bush, your Better Boy variety, your beefsteak variety, but you can't get hundreds of the other stuff that's out there that you can possibly buy from a seed supplier and starting your own. So if you are gardening, maybe it's good to start with getting stuff from the big box stores because you can get them from seedling. But if you want to really control your own destiny and control and experiment and get beyond the boring and get variety and figure out what grows best in your environment, I encourage you to start things from seeds. So I'll show you how I set mine up here in the lab, in my office, and hope you can learn from it. Let me get behind the camera. Okay, everybody, I'm on my GoPro now. It'll be easier to give you some shots. So hopefully this turns out okay. Let's take a look at the lab and what we got here. So let's take a look at the setup. So this is what we have here in my office, and you'll see that there's 2 grow lights. I think I got them both from gardeners.com or Gardener Supply, gardeners.com. So let me show you the first one. So the first setup I have here is a Hydrofarm simple light system here. You'll see it's a simple light with a bright light there, and then a lever that you can increase or decrease it. And then I always use the Orta kitchen pots. These are the best things to use, no question about it. If you're gardening, what they do, as you'll see here, there's a reservoir. You fill it up with water. You can be gone for 3 or 4 days. The water seeps through the clay and waters the plants. Bar none, the best thing to do. Now, with this thing, as you'll see, it goes up and down. You want to put this right above the soil, an inch or 2 above the soil, so your plants are well taken care of. Okay, so this is what I use for starting my seedlings, and it usually takes, peppers take 7 to 10 days to sprout, and tomatoes less time. So I use these. This is what I do. The whole setup. These things are about $40 to $50 each. This light system here, I think, was about $60, $70, okay? Now, when you're setting this up, what you need to do is you get a timer like such, okay? Get that timer. I have it going 8 to 10 hours of light a day. Goes off at night, goes back on, okay? And both of these are hooked up to it. If you're starting tomatoes and peppers, they like warm soil. You have to get a seed mat too, a heat map. You put it underneath, keeps the heat about 75 degrees below those order pots, and then you're good to go. You can hook those up to the same timer, okay? So you need that seed starting mat. So this other one I've actually gotten to. This is a bigger light. So let me get underneath here. You'll see that this light is bigger. It's got 2 in it, very bright, and it's under the same pulley system. You'll see it goes up, it goes down. Okay, I have it up now so you can see from my example, but when you put these over the plants, again, you want the light to be about such, right against the plants. As the plants grow, you can increase the height of this relatively easily. This is on the same timer. Now, these plants, these pepper plants, you'll see I am growing 3 different varieties. I started each of those in the pots back there, okay? And as you'll see here, I started these, I think, on 7/27, so it's approximately 1 month after, 4 weeks, and the plants now look like this. So I'm growing 3 different varieties of peppers that I like. So one is the Cigarette de Bergamo. The other is the Sweet Antigua right here. The Cigarette de Bergamo, and of course my favorite, the Jimmy Nardello. So what I do is I grow 6 of each variety of these plants, and I only keep the top 2, okay? The top 2, the best looking, the healthiest 2, okay? Survival of the fittest. I transplant them from those pots there into these pots here. This gives them plenty of room for growth. And again, I keep them under lights 8 to 10 hours a day. By starting your plants inside, you give them, and by the way, I transplant them from seed starting mix, which is mostly peat, to potting mix with any of your basic container potting mix things to get nutrients into the plant right away, and gets 10 hours of this bright light each day as well, okay? I water from the bottom of this tray, and as you'll see, they're all doing really well. One of the great parts about starting your seedlings indoors, very important, is that there's no true element of disease here, okay? We have no fungus gnats. We have no other type of pests that can get into your soil. So they start off very healthy. In Houston, Texas, it's August 27th, I believe. It's still, today it was 92 degrees, still too hot for these things to go outside. So in a few weeks, I'll start bringing these things outside. When I bring them outside, remember to harden them off. So I'll probably bring them outside once they get to about another 4 to 6 inches, okay? I'll transplant them again. As you transplant them, very important, do it at night. Do not do it in the middle of the day. It's a tremendous amount of shock to these plants. When I transplant them, I will be adding the normal nutrients that I always do. Organic fertilizers, Epsom salt, phosphorus for more buds and fruit. And you see my other videos from it. But this is the setup. So the overall setup system, this light, and I'm going to get another one because I love it. This thing cost about $210, okay? It's a little bit more expensive. It's worth it. These things are not cheap. But I can leave this thing. I can go away for 3 or 4 days, come back. It's controlled by the timer right there. I leave a good amount of water at the bottom of this, and it just feeds itself from the bottom. So it's not a lot of work. The plants grow a little bit, and I can keep them safe and put them out in another probably 7 to 8 weeks. Remember, if you're starting seeds indoors for things like peppers, it takes 8 to 12 weeks before you transplant them outside, okay? And then once they get outside, they've got to grow and grow fruit. So it takes another, sometimes 8 to 12 weeks outside. So start your seeds early. If you're living in the southern parts of the country like Florida, Houston, Louisiana, Southern Cal, you probably should have started your seeds by now. Because I know certainly it gets a little bit cold at night, and that will kill off your plants, of course, unless they're in a greenhouse or you're taking them inside and outside. So that's the setup. Again, it's not the cheapest setup, but it does pay for convenience for you folks that travel. So I hear from people all the time, like me. You're busy. You travel 3 or 4 days a week. There's no way you can possibly garden. That's not right. You can garden. Just follow what I told you. The whole setup here is probably $350 for those two. The heat map, the timer, all that type of stuff. But you can use this for 10 years if you want. Over and over and over and again. And it doesn't get to the elements outside like the rain and get rusted and all those type of things. And these light bulbs last forever as well. So that's what I do in the Executive Gardener Lab. And again, the reason I start seedlings and plants from seeds is I do not want to be stuck with the store's brands and the store's lack of variety they sell you. That's boring. I want to grow and experiment with a variety of peppers and tomatoes that I'd like to try, not what they want me to have. So I encourage all of you to start setting up your own seeds or starting your own seeds with this type of setup, and then put them under a grow light for 8 to 12 weeks before you put them outside, and you'll have great success. It's worked for me. And again, if you have a busy lifestyle, hope it works for you. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Executive Gardener. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.